This small loaf of French bread is perfect for just one or two people. And we're going to make this small loaf today. You could easily double this recipe and have it be enough for several people, but I kind of like the small one, so we're just going to do the small one today. And I've got a half a cup of water in this container here. I'm going to add another quarter cup of milk. So we have 3/4 cup total. Okay, and 1 tablespoon of honey. Let me spray this so the honey will come out a little bit easier. Okay, and we'll add our honey. And we're going to mix this up and put it in the microwave for maybe about 30 seconds or so. We want it to get to between 105 and 115 degrees. Okay, let's take its temperature and see where we're at after we give it a quick stir. That's 106. I think we're probably pretty good there. So we're only going to use about a half a packet today of this yeast. It's not much, but it seems to do the job. So I'm just going to eyeball it and cut it in half here and add that to this warm liquid and give that a stir. This is just instant yeast. You really don't need to do this with instant yeast. You could also use active dry yeast, but I always like to do this just to make sure the yeast is good and let it sit aside somewhere and see if it foams up the way it's supposed to. And put that aside. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and get our dry ingredients together. We're going to put in 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And another half a cup. And a teaspoon and a quarter of salt. Okay, I'll give that a mix around here. Okay, so we're just going to let that yeast continue foaming up here and make sure it does what it's supposed to do, and then we'll start combining all this together. Okay, this yeast has been foaming up here for about 5 minutes or so, so I think we're good, and we're going to go ahead and continue on now and start adding everything to the mixer. Okay, we're going to start out with just the paddle attachment and keep that on there just long enough to get everything mixed up. I can get it on there. There it goes. Okay, and let's start adding our yeast ingredient here. I'm also going to add 2 teaspoons of olive oil. Okay. And let's give that a mix up here. Just long enough to get it mixed up. That's probably pretty good. Now we'll go ahead and add the dough hook. Let's scrape some of that off of there. And we'll let this go on a medium speed for about probably 8 or 9 minutes. Okay, this dough was not coming together too well because it was just a little too dry. So I did add just a couple of tablespoons of warm water to it, and that helped quite a bit have it come together and start forming one mass in there. So let's finish it up by hand out on the work surface for just a few more seconds. I like to finish it up by hand. Just last little bit of kneading for a few seconds just to get it in the right shape. So let's just plop it out here on the surface. Get out of there. There we go. And we're just going to knead this about a minute or so, maybe even less, just to get it in the right shape, kind of a ball shape. Okay, that seems to be pretty elastic. I'm going to go ahead and spray the bowl that we mixed it up in, and we're just going to let it sit in here and rise in a warm place for about an hour or so. I've got these nice little lids that I use in place of plastic wrap. Okay, so we'll just let that sit for about an hour. Okay, this has been rising for about an hour and a half because I looked at it after about an hour and it still had a ways to go. So this looks good. It's risen up nice. We're going to flatten it down now and kind of form it into a log shape or a baguette. I think we'll probably just do a log shape. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then we're just going to kind of do this. And we'll set this aside. And I like to put this on a baking sheet, kind of in between two bread pans upside down, so it won't spread out too much this way. Let me spray this. There we go. And we're just going to put this right here. And now we're going to let that rise, cover that and let it rise for about an hour in a warm place. Okay. Okay, this has been rising for about an hour. Let's take a look. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So now we're going to brush a little bit of olive oil on the top of it and sprinkle some sea salt, or kosher salt rather, on the top of it also. You could also do sea salt, I guess. Okay, we're just sprinkling some kosher salt on it now. And lastly, we're going to put 3 slices across the top with a sharp knife. This just kind of prevents it from cracking somewhere that we don't want it to crack. Okay, and we're ready to stick this into a 400-degree oven for 20 minutes. Okay, we are done. It's nice and goldeny on the top. Let's pull apart our little contraption I made here to keep it, sorry, it smells really good in here. So let's pull this apart and put this over out of the way of the stove. Okay, let's go ahead and put this out on the wire rack here. There we go. And put this out of the way over here. And I'll let that continue to cool here for a little bit and slice it up, and we'll see what it looks like on the inside. Okay, this has been cooling on this wire rack now for a little while. This is, again, I think this is the perfect size for just 1 or 2 people. You could do 2 or 3 of these and freeze the rest of them. They freeze really well, so I just typically do them 1 at a time because I'm never in a big hurry to have a bunch of bread on hand. But anyway, let's go ahead and slice it up and see how it looks. So I'm going to use my handy dandy bread slicing guide again for this, and we're going to just I think this time we're going to use the end that is not so skinny. I kind of like thicker slices of bread for French bread, so I'm going to use my handy dandy electric knife again. So here we go. We're just going to slice a few of these. And let's see how it looks now. Okay, so we got a few of these sliced, and it looks pretty good. Okay. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy.